Paul Rosenblum is a bookkeeper, not an accountant or a CPA. Although the information in this podcast comes from professionals, it's meant to give you enough knowledge about these subjects to have a meaningful dialogue with your tax preparer about bookkeeping and taxes.
I have been trying to get used to a regular life after the end of tax season 2025 and have planned and booked our vacation, saw a movie in a movie theater recently, and getting back to better sleep. It takes a while for me after the energy, stress, and frankly the amount of work that tax season entails for me to get back to normal. I'm almost there. So I'm almost Paul Rosenblum. By the way, check out the YouTube channel for some video shorts and leave a text message or email me and let me know what you'd like me to talk about here on future episodes. Are you a business owner? Do you have a medical practice? I'd love to speak to you if you are looking for a bookkeeper. I love doing bookkeeping for medical practices. Today, I'll be talking about two different clients who I will be working on or finishing this summer to bring them totally up to date. I'll be talking about them from a bookkeeping standpoint. However, before I get into the bookkeeping aspect of today's episode, and I know I've spoken about this before, but I'm at a point where I have made a general plan for my own business future. I am cutting down stressful clients who can't afford higher prices, slow payers, and even cutting out working with bad or lazy accountants or CPAs. I am getting my mojo back that I had begun to lose the last year or so and wasn't really sure why. It's not that I don't enjoy bookkeeping. I do, really. It ended up being the stress dealing with all types of personalities, client businesses that were not making a profit, and me trying to help them fix it, and just the quantity of work that I had to do. I used to have infinite patience for tough personalities, late payers, and even people who have businesses who really shouldn't. But my patience level is not as high as it used to be, and it also seems that people don't like to take suggestions anymore from others, especially bookkeepers. There are many accountants who go through tax season just filing extensions for more than half of their clients with the plan of finishing them up during the summer and be ready to file the final tax return by September or October 15. I have always prided myself on being able to do the bookkeeping for every client before the deadlines that accountants have made to me to have the books ready for the tax return or extension. For years, I was able to finish all the books. But as I got older and I started to work a bit slower, that started to change. There are always clients who want to be on extension, but I always love to be able to get them finished anyway and ready to go by late February, early March for the corporations, and late March for everyone else. I realized that I just can't do that anymore, as I want to and should start cutting down and enjoy my senior discounts that I get these days. So I am cutting down the number of clients, and as I do that, I realize that since I am slowing down, there is less stress. And when there's less stress, the quality of work goes up. So, yes, my mojo is coming back. All good, at least for now, until I have to reevaluate that again eventually. The 2025 tax season is over, and I have 4 projects to finish by the end of August, along with regular monthly bookkeeping. Today, I want to talk about 2 of them from a bookkeeping standpoint, not only for bookkeepers, but for business owners as well, to try and understand why the process takes much longer than they thought it would, and why it costs more money than they thought it would. Number one, a project that I have had on my plate for about 3 years that started with 2019 through 2022 not filed, and now 2023 and 2024 also not filed. I've spoken about this project before, several different credit cards and bank accounts, expenses and income all mixed between three LLCs and personal expenses. And because they are all mixed, everything is carefully entered in one QuickBooks database. Although, if the bank and credit card accounts were all dedicated to the individual businesses, we would end up having three different QuickBooks databases. I just finished 2022, and we are putting the finishing touches on that before tax filing. 2023 and 2024 will hopefully be done by the end of August. In Canada, I'm told, this is a gigantic no-no, as personal expenses and business expenses cannot be shared on the same bank account or credit card. Number two, another client with the years of 2022 through 2024 not entered or filed yet. The client has a similar scenario, two different LLCs, and a third one started in 2025, five different credit cards, three different bank accounts, all mixed together, including some of the credit cards being paid by the personal bank account, which I'm not tracking, except for the credit card payments made. The first year was the toughest because every entry had to be scrutinized. Was it a personal expense, a business expense for business number one, or a business expense for business number two? The second year of 2022 has gone much easier since I at least can follow the pattern from the previous year. We will sit down together in Zoom and go through every transaction in every credit card and every bank account and make any changes that we need to, but at least there's less going back and forth in terms of recategorizing a particular expense with the client. Since these are very similar scenarios, let's get into some of the nitty gritty and how to set up the bookkeeping. In the first case, when I first started, I was told that the client had one company, two properties, both separate LLCs in separate states, and personal expenses all mixed in together. Several bank accounts, even investment accounts that they were using to pay expenses, and lots of transfers from the investment accounts into regular business checking accounts and regular personal checking accounts. The client is in the clothing business and they have a family with young children. So, how am I to tell if they go to a clothing store what they buy for clothing samples for the business or clothing for the kids or them to wear? Each entry has to be put into a miscellaneous ask account for them to tell me what they are, just to be correct and accurate. The same with meals, personal meals versus business meals, gas or electric charging for the car, business expense or personal expense. How many cars do they have? Does one spouse have their own car and another spouse have a separate car that they use for business? This makes a difference in how the books are put together. I have an other expense ask account for each bank account and for each credit card account. And when each month is entered, I will export to Excel and send the client a spreadsheet for them to go through and reclassify. I did that for the first 2 years until I saw a general pattern. And then when I started the third year, I followed the pattern with the understanding that we will all get together to go through every entry on the GL and move specific transactions to where they belong. The business expenses are on the profit and loss. The expenses for each of the two pieces of property are on the balance sheet as equity accounts. If there were separate bank accounts for each piece of property, then we would have separate QuickBooks databases to match what the tax preparer will do with the Schedule C forms. But in this case, since everything is all mixed together, I have both properties set up, each with subaccounts in the equity section, so mortgages, property taxes, and maintenance and construction are all separate for each property. As I was putting together the books, I found out that there was yet another business, which I didn't even know existed. So, what I had booked as income were actually loans from that other business. I now have access to that business and will start that sometime this year. They currently have someone keeping up that database for now. So the trick is to get as much information from the client as possible if you're a bookkeeper. And if you're the client, to tell your bookkeeper everything that they need to know to put your books together properly. And all of these hours and hours of work are for a company that's not even making a profit, but the books still need to be done properly and filed with the IRS. One of these pieces of property will be sold sometime this year, and I think a new business will be starting. I am trying to push the client to have separate credit cards for each entity, but the credit rating isn't great, so they might not have a choice. At least for now, I really like the client, and this is all part of my thinking for the future. Walk away from smaller clients and do the bookkeeping for multi entity clients who I know will pay me in a reasonable amount of time. Work, but less stress, and working with people who I like. Isn't that the idea of being an independent bookkeeper business owner? I am now 70 plus years old, and I'm still learning lessons, which is one reason why this podcast exists. If I can learn new lessons, so can you. The other client is a similar situation, but no properties. Two businesses, five credit cards, all mixed in together, along with a personal bank account being used for both businesses. What do I do when there's a credit card that is being paid by a personal account and not by either business? I enter that payment as a journal entry, debiting the credit card account and crediting additional capital under equity. I don't want to track the entire personal bank account of this particular client. And this client is another good one, pays me on time, and even says thank you with the payment. And for all of you business owners, yes, bookkeepers need that thank you occasionally. We really do. We do need to be recognized for our hard work and not just hearing complaints about how long it takes to get done, or how much we charge, or how many questions we ask the client, and the scrutiny that we give our own work. Yes, bookkeepers are real live people too. So I have a busy summer in store, but hopefully not a stressful one. I was thinking about hiring other people to do some of this work, and I have spoken to others, but that would actually slow things down since there is a learning curve for each specific situation. And I also have come to admit to myself it's a hard thing for me to let go of the control, especially when people are working remotely. Busy, but not necessarily stressful, at least not in the office. But as family members get older, there are other things to deal with which interfere with my bookkeeping. Personally, I have always been rather consumed with bookkeeping since I bumped into it 30 plus years ago. Something about it is just fascinating to me. It's like a giant jigsaw puzzle that you know that all the pieces have to fit together. The only potential interesting difficulty is that there is more than one way to fit the pieces together depending on the knowledge of the bookkeeper and the tax preparer. For example, if a corporation owner is on payroll and also takes distributions throughout the year, that's fine with the IRS. However, the tax preparer could convert the distributions into payroll to lower the profit of the taxable income for the corporation, or even the other way around sometime during the third or fourth quarter to adjust payroll and distributions amount for a lower liability with the IRS. So pieces of the puzzle fit together sometimes in more than one way. Bookkeeping is very close to film editing, which my father did for 40 years and had a real talent for it. So not only do I get the bookkeeping gene from my father's mother, I get the film editing gene from my father directly. They truly are quite similar. The teaching gene, which is just as dominant for me, comes from my mother, by the way. Thanks, Mom. This is why I work so much and am passionate about bookkeeping and this podcast equally. This is why I need more than 24 hours a day and be able to sleep less hours and not stop for meals and even save time teleporting to work and to vacation spots. Actually, I'm taking the day off today, setting up a new computer so that I don't lose any regular working hours. I'm almost myself again, Paul Rosenblum.